Hey, it's Mike from the Run Testers. It is just before 7 a.m. I am getting ready to head into central London to do the Asics London 10K. Thanks to Asics for sorting out the spot. I have decided to test a few things, the main thing being the Asics Magic Speed 3. Now Asics has asked me to test this. I asked if I could try it out. It's kind of recently launched in the UK. I've raced in the original Magic Speed. I've used the Magic Speed 2 a lot. We reviewed that, and myself and Nick did. Definitely preferred the second one to the first one, but somehow didn't quite work it into my rotation. Hasn't after testing, which I think is probably a big sign as to in terms of how it kind of compared to other shoes I would use for the same sort of training sessions that I think the Magic Speed 2 and the Magic Speed series in general is designed for. Now, obviously, Magic Speed 3, there's some changes here. You have now got the kind of full-length complex sandwich between kind of 2 layers of FF Blast plus foam, and obviously it was just the one, and it was a TPU plate in the Magic Speed 2 as well. So hopefully should feel a little bit more forgiving, I guess. Obviously I'm going to be doing a 10K with it, see how it handles. Obviously it's kind of 150, 160 pounds, pretty good in terms of those kind of new breed of kind of super trainers that we're starting to see from other brands as well. So yeah, I'm just really getting interested to see how it's going to handle kind of race conditions, whether it's kind of a good cheaper kind of race option. There's elements of the kind of top end Meta Speed Skyline here as well in terms of the upper. So yeah, just interested to see how it runs. I haven't run in it at all actually. I've mainly been walking around in it. So yeah, let's see how it kind of handles. Elsewhere, I have got out of interest, I've got the Casio G Shock watch on, which has some of the polar kind of heart rate smarts in it. So I've done a couple of runs with it. It's connected GPS, so I have to use my phone. I'm gonna have to carry my phone with me. So I'll be having that on my wrist next to the 40965 to test how the heart rate tracking performs. Elsewhere, I've got the Shokz OpenFit. I literally got these yesterday. So these are Shokz's kind of new open ear kind of ear hook design earbuds. So move away from the kind of neckband style design. It sits at the top end of its range. It's £180, so not cheap, and it ditches the bone conduction approach to delivering the audio, so it's kind of essentially putting speakers nearer to your ears. And yeah, interested to see how that performs just performance wise in terms of the sound quality, making sure it does stay put, because that's a big reason people go for the kind of neckband style Shokz headphones. The fit and reliability of the fit is a big reason to go for it, as well as keeping you aware of things around you, particularly in kind of race conditions as well. Just seeing how the battery life holds up, not expecting to be out there for a long time, but interesting what the drop off is when you're using maybe some of the other EQ modes that are available on these headphones as well. So looking forward to testing those. I've chucked on the Ultra Human Air Smart Ring as well. I'm a long-term user of the Aura, so I've got that on. I'm still collecting data. At that stage, I'm just creating the baseline, so I'll chuck that on as well. So yeah, mainly Magic Speed 3, the Shokz OpenFit, and then also the Casio G Shock, and seeing how Polar's kind of heart rate smarts kind of compare to the 40965. So yeah, I'm going to head off now. I will do a little bit debrief after the race, and yeah, I'll let you know how I get on. See ya. So Asics 10K in the bag. There'll be the medal. I think I did 42, 43, I think probably close to 43 minutes today, obviously quicker than the Lee Valley Park that I did, a race that I did with Nick a few weeks ago, so getting there, times are going back down again, so very happy about that. Speed is coming back, a bit more confidence running closer to my kind of usual times. Speaking of speed, obviously I was running in the Asics Magic Speed 3, and it's a lovely shoe. I mean, I think I've raced in the original Magic Speed, and obviously I think with that shoe, definitely a little bit on the firmer side. Isn't a shoe that I use long term really. The Magic Speed 2, definitely a massive improvement. Definitely felt, in terms of the changes that Asics made with that shoe, it felt like a better daily trainer shoe. In terms of what we're getting with the Magic Speed 3, it's part of that new breed, I think, of those kind of super trainers that we've started to see and we're talking about, and we're going to do some, more on that on the channel as well. So these shoes that are built for speed training, speed work, but also potentially you can use for racing as well. And on that course, it felt pretty good. Overall, I felt very good. I think the biggest thing I think I really noticed with this, and obviously I run with the race with the Meta Speed Sky, and I think with this definitely puts you a little bit closer to the ground, but I think the level of cushioning is very good. I think there's enough kind of level of cushioning there to make it feel comfortable, but I also think pretty responsive as well in terms of what you feel in this shoe. The outsole is great. I think Asics kind of outsoles in general are really, really good, and I think this course is kind of very twisty, kind of at places you have to kind of flip kind of back on the course, and kind of cornering it was absolutely perfect in terms of what you get from the outsole level of grip. Felt very good. I think it's nice and light. I like the fact that the upper is a lot closer to the Meta Speed Sky and Sky Plus, which keeps the weight down, but also think you're getting a good light shoe. I think interestingly, I think the fit is quite an interesting one, because I definitely think it feels a little bit more snug than the previous shoes, and I don't know if that's something, maybe there might be an argument to go maybe half a size up in this shoe. I had it in the UK size 8, and it definitely feels a little bit more snug than it did on the Magic Speed 2. I think obviously the Meta Speed Sky and Sky Plus as well. So maybe there's maybe a change in the terms of fit you're getting here, particularly against that kind of top end racing shoe from Asics as well. But there's no problems, no discomfort from that point of view, and it felt pretty good. And yeah, I felt very, very good in it. I think it feels like a better shoe for racing. I think one using it for speed work as well. I think ultimately the Magic Speed and the Magic Speed 2, it's not a shoe that ended up in my rotation, but I do think this would be closer in terms of things that I do use those types of runs. So things like the Hoka Mach 5, which is something that I do use on a regular basis in my rotation. I don't absolutely love the Endorphin Speed 3, but from a fit point of view, but I think in terms of rivaling that shoe, I definitely think it's up there. And I think getting those elements of the top tier Asics shoes into this shoe for less money, I think is a really good thing, and it definitely feels like a nicer shoe to run and race in, or it definitely did today compared to the 10k I did with the Magic Speed. I didn't definitely feel like this is a much better suited shoe, and I think it's going to sit very well in terms of those top tier shoes. And also I think if you're looking for a speedy shoe that you can potentially race in, I think the key thing is whether you can get a distance in the shoe. I'm going to need to do more running in it, and Nick's got this as well, so obviously we'll do a full review and we'll have some longer runs in it. But I think in terms of that 10k, it felt absolutely fine. I felt like it can really kind of roll through in this shoe. It just felt very comfortable. I like the lower feel in terms of what you get here, and the cushioning just feels just about right. I say the fit would be the only thing I think maybe you could argue going maybe half a size up in the shoe based on my UK size 8, but ultimately really enjoyed running in the shoe, and I think it's definitely one that potentially, I think less so than more so than the Magic Speed 2 and the original Magic Speed, that actually I will start using this in my rotation for speed run, kind of speed work, daily kind of training, kind of more that up tempo stuff, and also track stuff as well, because I think it's definitely better suited to that overall. Okay, so the other things I was testing today. So the other really big thing I was looking at was the Shokz OpenFit. So this is the first run that I've done with the OpenFit. So obviously this is Shok's first pair of headphones that doesn't use bone conduction headphones. So they're basically like wearable speakers, position, either side of your ear, and kind of delivering ultimately a bigger sound, more customizable sound than bone conduction, where you just don't have that customization or level of customization that you do have for headphones like this. So we've tested headphones like this before, brands like Clear, Oladance, which Nick has tested as well. There's a few other brands out there. I've got another pair from a brand called Sivaga, which do open ear headphones as well. So there's this new breed of open ear headphones that don't use bone conduction, ultimately to offer better sound. Now, the first thing for me
As the fit is interesting. I think you've got this kind of hooks around the ear, and then you drop the speaker inside here. But ultimately, I found it was kind of clinging on at the beginning of the race, and I did play around with it that first couple of K because I was worried it was going to move out of place. I think after that, it felt generally fine. But I think if you've got to have to think about the fits and how reliable it's going to securely stay in place, and I think there's a question mark. I think sound-wise, I think it's fine. It's not best in class in terms of that open ear sound in terms of what you get here, but it is customizable. I had it in kind of the kind of bass boost. I listen to a lot of drum and bass when I race, so I had like kind of my Hospital Records podcast on, and that was kind of, I needed the kind of bass boost mode, and that's what I went for. And profile was pretty good. It's not super clear, not super balanced, but it's very good, and definitely bigger sound than Shokz's kind of bone conduction headphones in general. Battery life, I think I had it for an hour because I had them on when I was kind of standing in the pens, and I think I had it at 90% and it dropped to kind of 60%, and obviously I think it was so it survived an hour's worth of running, but the drop off was pretty big, and I had it pretty loud. I was getting told on my watch to kind of turn the volume down because it was too loud. Like kind of iPhones, pairing headphones to iPhones kind of generally too, which is very good. But yeah, so battery life fine, fits. The design, I'm not 100% convinced. I do feel like there's some better kind of suited open air designed headphones that kind of offer a more secure fit. They did stay put, but I think ultimately those first couple of K I was playing around with the fit and it was bothering me, so I definitely think that's something I'll be looking to see if that is something that's replicated during my other runs before we do a full review on that. The only other thing worth kind of mentioning here from a testing point of view is I was testing a Casio G Shock, which uses connected GPS, so you do have to, you've got kind of accelerometer based tracking, which obviously is never the most accurate. So what I want to do is use connected GPS. Obviously having the app open connected to the watch would obviously improve the GPS accuracy. Not sure I got a reliable connection because the distance tracking compared to the 40965 wasn't really there. I haven't checked into the heart rate properly yet, but it doesn't look like it was absolutely immaculate. And again, it didn't track the full distance. So again, I'm very early into testing with that. I think it's interesting that Casio are doing or using Polar's kind of algorithms and software and hardware to kind of pull in that more accurate heart rate tracking. Ultimately though, the core kind of experience in terms of run tracking and the GPS performance, it didn't really work for me today. Again, early days in terms of testing, really about how I got on with the Magic Speed 3, which is definitely a positive. The Shokz OpenFit, maybe a mixed bag, okay, but definitely got some question marks about the fit based on that first run. Okay, so there have it. That is my 10k race test of the Asics Magic Speed 3, the Shokz OpenFit, and a couple other bits I've been testing as well. Obviously the race itself, I've done this one before. Obviously it's in central London. You've got to kind of do some twists and turns to get around the course. It felt pretty good. There's a kind of one maybe little kind of niggly kind of hill, but generally felt good. The conditions were good. It didn't rain. It wasn't too hot. A little bit muggy, but generally fine. I think there was about 18,000 people doing it today, and yeah, pretty good. Obviously got a lot of shout outs beginning and at the end of the race as well, which is always appreciated. One of Tom's mates, Terry from his running club, a guy called Mohammed, who chatted to me, and a guy who came all the way from Isle of Wight as well. We had a good chat, so yeah, and showed a lot of love to the channel, so thanks so much for that. We appreciate it as always. Obviously thanks to Asics for offering the race place for today. As I said, they haven't paid us to talk about the Asics Magic Speed 3, they've just given us a place to go out and run, and thanks to them for sorting that out. Obviously we'll have a full review in the Magic Speed 3 once me and Nick have done a bit more running in it, do some verses. If you've got any shoes you want to know how it compares to, obviously let us know about that as well. But yeah, I'm going to head home now, do my recovery. Yeah, see you for the next run test video.